Nubia. Nubian United Benevolent International Association is a non-profit organization which aims to preserve the Sudanese Nubian history, culture, and traditions, share it with our community, as well as to pass it down to the current and future generations. One of Nubia's main goals is to provide assistance in the Nubian region in Sudan by providing medical supplies, school supplies, educational training, and any areas we can be of assistance. Thus far, Nubia has done a lot of programs within the community, from the cooking club, which provides healthy cultural cooking lessons and nutrition education, a sewing class, Nile Swimmers, which provides swimming lessons, and mainly its largest program, Nubian Seed and Yield. The Seed and Yield program is trying to revive the agricultural heritage of Nubia, and the program is successfully run by the hard work and dedication of Sayyid Muhammad Noor, and it began with a plot of land in Charlestown to teach the basics of plants and vegetables and how to grow fresh organic food. Nubia has worked with the local pantry to provide them with a large portion of the food grown in these gardens. Today, Nubia Seed and Yield program has 84 plots of gardening in 6 areas around Boston. Their purchase of coffee, tea, and baked goods, as well as any donation made, will help us to continue to make a difference in our community here and abroad. So I thank you. Now to learn from Nubian history and work being done related to Nubia, I would like to introduce our guest speaker, who was a lifetime activist since 1961. He is an executive director of the Sudanese Studies Association, which he co-founded more than 30 years ago. He is also credited with writing the first historical dictionary of ancient and medieval Nubia. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Richard A. Loran, Jr.
السلام عليكم ان شاء الله كويسين. شكرا جزيلا عشان تجي هنا يعني عشان الحفله والمحاضره بخصوص تاريخ نوبيا. لكن we have some people who are young, they don't speak Arabic, and some guests, so I will shift to English and we'll start our program. Maybe if Lena could make the lights a little lower as possible, then we'll see the pictures a bit better. So here we are at the Nubian Coffee Social. So we're so happy and we welcome مرحبا بكم.
أهلا وسهلا.
مهيرة ممكن ثانية. مهيرة. So this is who I am, and as you heard from before, you can turn to the next one. I really hit it twice. I really dig Nubian history because I am actually an archaeologist. And one of the areas I'm working near Tushendi in Merowe, and we're excavating a temple for Amun that's 2,000 years old. So we can talk more about that later on. Okay, next one. Of course, Sudan is such a huge country, but only recently it was called Sudan. Only when the English came. Before, when the Turks were there for about 60 years, they always called it Nubia. And Sudan was some other place, in the Balada Sudan, in Mali, and so forth. And of course now, because of mismanagement and the problems in Sudan, 1/3 of Sudan has gone off to become the independent Republic of South Sudan. By the way, today I learned that the forces of Salva Kiir Mayardit have really taken Bentiu and Heglig, so maybe the oil will start to flow again. But this is a developing story. Okay, honey. Of course, for the whole region, which we could call Sahel, we have Sudan. But mostly Sudan was over here, and not over where we think of it today, because this was called the Nubia. For Nubia, mostly we're talking about Sahara, or Sahara, yani a very dry, arid land. Next one. But we have not only the beginning of civilization, we have the beginning of humanity. Bani Adam, Nafsu, is starting in Africa, in East Africa. And for sure we found early people, early humans in Ethiopia, and in Somalia, and in Kenya, and in Chad. So I'm sure that they were in the Nile Valley as well, because they're not going to go around the borders of modern-day Sudan because it was somehow in their imagination. Next one. Could you go back? Yeah. Okay. This, I also collect maps of Nubia, and in this one we can see here the kingdom of Nubia, because Nubia was, of course, three kingdoms of Christian times, from Faras in the far north, Makura, and in the middle area of where Dongola is, and in Soba or Alwa. So we don't see any reference to Sudan because it's called Nubia. It's the oldest reference for this area. Next one. In this map, you can see the word Sudan is way over in West Africa, like Mali and northern Nigeria. And here we find Nubia. This is Nubia. There was also Darfur, separate country, actually, until 1916 when the English assassinated Ali Dinar. Next one. Now, one of the oldest types of pottery we know in the world, which we call wavy line pottery because the lines are wavy, made by the bone of a fish, backbone. This is from Nubia, and we find it across the Sahara. So the people of Nubia were living in a very extensive region, not just along the Nile, because more than 5,000 years ago, the land was much more grassy in the whole Sahara, or whole Sahel. Next one, please. Between Egypt and Nubia, Egypt is of course also a very old land, we have what we call Lower Nubia, between Aswan and the Second Cataract, the modern Hadud between Sudan and Masr. And in this area, we have the people called Tasseti, or Tassetiyu. These are the bow people. They are famous archers. And so Nubia was known for having excellent military capacity. At the same time, they were making beautiful pottery. This pottery is generally considered to be equal or better than Egyptian pottery in the pre-dynastic time. So they're rivals on the Nile, they're brothers and sisters on the Nile, until later on the scale tipped a bit in the favor of Egypt, and then it tipped back, as we will see in slides, in favor of Nubia. Next one. This group of pottery, as archaeologists, we always look at pottery because it lasts a long time. This particular pottery, which we call the C group, is very, very similar to the pottery of the Dinka or Nuer today in the southern Sudan. So probably those people were not just in southern Sudan, they were everywhere. And Nubians became the crossroads or the corridor to the Nile, to Africa and to the Mediterranean world. So many Nubians come in all different shades and colors and the varieties because of the connection between Sub-Saharan Africa and North Africa. Next one. One of the most extraordinary features in the archaeology of Nubia is the Dafufa, which is actually a Nubian word meaning antiquity. This is the Dafufa, or antiquities, of Kerma. Kerma, it started 2,500 years before Christ, and it's still extant right there, even though it was heavily damaged by the Egyptians when they came in the New Kingdom. So you can go to Kerma and see the Dafufa and many other important grave sites, graves which were as large as the pyramids of Egypt. But because it's an African tradition, the graves are round with many corridors, quite unlike anything in Egypt. They didn't build the pyramids in Nubia at this time. They built pyramids later, as we will see. So I recommend to go to Kerma, Dukigel, and see some of the statues of the ancient pharaohs of Nubia. Next one.